Bros USA. Yeah.
This is Car Bros Podcast, episode 19.
Mm-hmm. Yep, getting up there.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
First off, I think we should address these beverages. Anyone who's watching the video.
If you're watching, we are drinking. John, like a couple podcasts ago, we ended up drinking.
The majority of
We ended up drinking a bunch of booze that John's girlfriend was like saving or something that we didn't know about.
Whoops.
We were just, like drinking it. And so she let us drink these because she didn't like them apparently, and they're
just not her favorite.
They're Angry Orchard hard ciders, and the flavor is
Rosé.
Yes.
It's very French.
And they look about as unmasculine as a drink can get.
And
It's good. It's got a nice
solid.
little fruity
Little kick to it.
It tastes about like
little tang to it.
yeah. I'm coming around. It's pretty good. Usually,
Try to get it sponsored from.
Angry Orchard if you're out there. Also,
Yeah, shout out to Angry Orchard.
Angry Orchard. If you are enjoying the Car Bros podcast, please consider signing up for our Patreon. That's all I'm going to say about that. At least look at it.
Yeah.
Check. You're not going to sign up, look at it. We've got some stuff on there. I don't know.
Yeah,
But the
little
reason I
sneak
bring that up,
peeks.
and also rate this podcast on iTunes. And I said that last week, and like 300 people listen to this on iTunes or something, and no new ratings, people.
Yeah.
So-
Doesn't it take? It takes like 10 seconds.
yeah,
right?
please help.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. With that said, I am the type of person who wouldn't.
Right.
I always skip
Yeah.
rating too.
Please do it. The other thing I want to mention about Patreon is somebody sent us Jesse Rice. Thank you.
yeah.
Shout out to Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse. Shout out to Jesse. He sent us a like holiday care package.
Yes.
with,
Sweet
like,
cookies.
and this
Christmas
sweet card. If you're watching, I'll put a picture of the card up, which was just like season's greetings, but it's just a picture of him like doing a burnout E30.
Hopefully, he sends that out to like all of his family. Like, it wasn't just us specific.
I don't think so. I don't think he'd make a one-off card
But you know.
for us. But yeah, that was pretty heartwarming.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice to show up.
And also, I think we're doing a Christmas card, right, to Patreon users.
Oh, yeah, we're
so that's
trying.
another incentive.
Yeah, we're
to-
sending
A little.
a Christmas card
little
to our
something.
top tier patrons. That should go out soon. So anyways, thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse.
And thank you to all of you who are at this moment signing up for
This is very sad.
yeah.
Or cracking open a fresh bottle of Angry Orchard.
Rosé.
I wanted to, before we get into our topic of the day, I had an experience driving down here where, just like on the highway, we record these in Central California, but I live in northern-ish California. So every time we get together, it's
couple
like
hours on the
3-hour
road, yeah.
drive for me, down. And I saw a Integra, like a 98 or something. Integra, like late 90s, whatever.
LS, RS.
I don't know. I don't know what it was.
One
it
of
was
them.
yellow. And it was just like,
Phoenix yellow?
full, like, standard. I hate to use the term ricer. That's such an outdated,
Yeah.
way of making fun of someone. But it was just like time warp 20 years ago, whatever thing. And it was just like, he's in traffic and he's like driving like a dick and like punching it. And it went from like, just kind of like, "Bwah," to just the full like, "Bwah, bwah," just where you're like cringing because it sounds so bad. And like on the one hand, I was like, that's worse than a Harley. I'd rather when they are just full uncorked
The pitch.
Yeah.
exhaust, just like decatted or something,
Right.
just as loud as they can.
Well, I mean,
make
a B18 B1 needs to breathe. Everyone knows that.
It's like this dinky little motor, and it's just like they don't sound good, especially when they're that loud. So it's just full on loud, and it's like, man, I'd rather have a Harley in my ear,
Just rumbling,
honestly.
yeah.
I'd rather hear something like that. But the other thing it made me think of is like every once in a while, and I'm assuming others will be like, oh, what about an old Honda?
Yeah.
Like,
We've talked about it many times.
like maybe I'll look into these.
And then you're reminded.
Yeah, you're like, a GSR in a vacuum. An Integra GSR is a fabulous car in a vacuum. If you were on a desert island and it just existed.
If every human on Earth was dead.
Yeah. And then you start to, you either have an experience like that or you see that thing, or you start to look into them at all.
Yeah.
Take 5 minutes and look on Craigslist or something.
It's pretty sad looking.
And you're just re-exposed to the realities of older Honda. And it's like, oh, right. Just like close the browser window. Like your dream will just be shattered. Because those cars only exist in your dreams as their pure form. You know, it's like they come with this baggage.
Right.
That is.
You just have to deal with it.
Yeah. That is the whole rest of the Honda world.
Yeah.
Is owning those things. So
it's actually pretty rare that you see like the full on riced out Honda anymore.
I was like, oh, wow. It was like a black, but it was
keeping it going.
Yeah, he was true to the form. It was like super janky. It was like this big square wing.
I wonder if he did the stuff to it or he acquired from it. It's like the fourth hand.
He's put his touch on the car.
If he's expressed his personality.
His spin. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. The other thing was yesterday we went down to Bakersfield for a track day, and we'll get into that. But it was very foggy.
Yes,
the whole way down, and like I don't know how common it is for. I don't know if that's like a local thing. That amount of thick fog.
Yeah, I think it's kind of native to
Central Valley.
It's because like the weird,
at least this coast or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. You East Coasters.
It's not coastal fog. It's like when the entire like surface of the ground gets damp.
Yeah,
and it gets like trapped, and it's just like
fog.
I
mean, you can't see when it gets really bad. I mean, there are like legendary stories of like you can't see two road lines in front of you. I mean, there will be like 10-foot visibility.
Right.
But yesterday there were probably sections where it was like 30 or 40 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're on the highway.
Yeah.
You're in a section of highway where the speed limit is 65 or 70.
And it's like dead straight.
And it's dead straight and you're just hauling ass.
And this isn't like a patch of fog. Like it'll be foggy for, 100 miles.
Yeah.
Straight.
And it's just like a lot of fog.
Right. Yeah.
And so there are sections where it's just like, oh, suddenly I can't see more than 50 feet in front of me. And you have to decide, like, do I slow down? Or, and what happens in these situations is you'll get like 200 car pileups.
Yeah, right.
There's you're hauling ass.
It's happened, yeah.
Something has happened, and there is just no way to communicate beyond 50 feet behind you.
Right.
For people to stop, and they just plow into people.
Yeah.
And so it's like you adjust your speed down to like, all right, this is still a little dangerous.
Keep a little buffer zone.
But like I could probably slam on my brakes and stop. But then you'll see people who don't have their lights on, first of all, for some bizarre reason don't have their lights on, are still just hauling ass.
They're going like 80.
It's just faith at that point.
Right.
You're just accepting your fate that you might plow into someone.
Like the back of a
I don't even think they realize that they might plow. Like,
I don't know.
They're just,
I don't know. And so it's like, it's pretty scary. Heavy fog is a really scary.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have heavy rain.
Yeah.
Because at least people are like forced to stop, kind of.
Right.
Or I don't know.
They should be.
I feel like fog is like probably one of the worst public driving situations.
I think fog like makes the opportunity for something like those 90 car pileups, which can't really happen otherwise.
Yeah, like extreme snow or extreme rain. I don't know. They're just a different flavor because like everyone's like, wow, this is really bad. And we're all kind of like driving cautiously.
Right.
Fog, the ground is still fine.
Yeah.
Drivable.
You just can't see a damn thing.
You just can't. It's like driving with your eyes closed.
Right.
So it's pretty crazy.
I wonder if like now cars with the radar, crash avoidance. I bet you those.
I'm not positive of the technology. I know camera wise it fucks with them. Your eyes are probably better than a camera can do at this point.
But the actual radar technology.
If radar,
I don't know how far in advance it sees out.
I don't think fog would cut into that, or like LiDAR. I'm not sure how
that's a good question
by
actually.
fog.
Yeah,
that'd be cool if they were better.
Like I'm just curious, like how far out. Like if you're like 100 feet away from a stopped car and you're still going 60 miles an hour, like would the radar start freaking out, or if it's only like
if it's not affected by fog, which I think it wouldn't. I don't think a radio.
Just take the Jeep out the next time.
Yeah,
it's
let's
like
just
super
give it a
fun.
shot. Yeah.
Let's try it. Let's set this up. I'll stand in the middle of the road.
You put it on, just jump into the passenger seat and see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. The other one, I don't want to dwell on this because it's not that entertaining. But the other one was just heavy traffic in general. Driving down there's heavy traffic. And people who there's a flow of traffic. It's like we're all stuck in it. This is the flow.
Right.
It's like 35 or 40 when we're moving pretty good. And there's people who are trying to like weave in and out. And then every once in a while they're going too fast, so then they brake.
Yeah.
And it's you're braking in traffic. Like, I wish there was a way to punish these people. It's like you're creating
More traffic.
Yeah.
You're creating a stoplight on the highway. You're turning on a light that tells everyone behind you to stop.
Right.
Or people who just tap their brakes sometimes.
Yeah.
On the highway. It's like your brake lights mean stop.
2-foot driving.
Right.
You're creating stops behind you.
What's actually funny is when I drive with like my dad, he was just like, "Oh, you're tailgating," but it's like because I don't want to like tap my brake unless I need to, so I'll like let off and I'll like maybe get closer than he
a little bit,
and then he's like, "You're tailgating."
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I don't want to like just tap my brake just to put a little.
I do that too. It's like you use the engine braking of the car to slow down because you don't want to send that signal behind you to stop.
Not only because it's unsafe, but it also makes you look weak.
I just don't want to give in.
Makes you look like a rookie.
But I mean, we could probably do it in a whole new podcast about ranting about how bad most people are at driving.
Yeah.
Here is one question I have before we leave this topic. It's just a thought I had. Would you guys and you listeners, would you support something where you have something installed in your car, maybe even temporarily, but maybe always,
breathalyzer,
and you assume for the moment it would never be used against you? If you wanted to drive 100, it wouldn't give you a ticket or something, but it analyzes your driving and your insurance is based off that analysis. Would you support something where if you're a better driver, you pay less and everyone has to do it?
You mean like you can't like if every time you punch it, like it goes? Would it just be based on speed or acceleration? Yeah, I would have to know the specifics.
I haven't thought it out enough. But would you support something where? Because there's people who just suck at driving, and I feel like there needs to be a way.
But it would have to be pretty advanced to like actually detect that someone sucks at driving.
They have apps that can tell if you like how smooth you are.
Really?
Yeah, and like
it's like GPS based.
Well, and like the accelerometer, or whatever. Where it's like, well, you broke really hard, or like you punch it way too hard,
right?
Well, I think if that became a thing, the outcome would just be shitty drivers just don't have car insurance anymore because they just wouldn't pay for car insurance. And then they would get into an accident, and then we would get fucked over again.
I just hate how it's possible to be a dick driving. There's no repercussions. I hate it.
The thing that bothers me is just like these people had to pass their driving test at some point.
That doesn't mean
that's easy.
Yeah.
Anyone can.
Right. Well,
literally anyone. Do you know anyone who's like, I just couldn't pass it?
I gave up.
But the thing is, like, did they just pretend to be a good driver for that 5 minutes and then all of a sudden?
Yeah, maybe. Sure. You can.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't think anyone's gonna be like, you failed because like you're not very smooth or
right.
whatever.
I would
cut someone off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't know where I was going with that because it's not that good of an idea. I just want something where someone does something in traffic and you can communally punish them.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way. Like they don't need to. I don't know what it is, but if someone cuts you off, something should happen. And it's like, now they owe you $2.
Someone should be keeping score.
We have the technology for this, people. Let's pool our minds together. Okay, so moving on. Track day.
Yesterday
we went down to Buttonwillow.
Yeah, which is
southern-ish California.
Yeah.
Little racetrack. It's quite foggy.
Well, I didn't go.
John didn't.
John didn't go.
I was gonna go.
He was gonna go. The only guy here that has a dedicated track car.
He had other things to do.
I was planning on going, and then my work had to schedule their, holiday party the same freaking day, and I didn't. Hey, I got a free Amazon Echo though.
Yeah, Amazon Echo. I went, but I didn't drive because I am working on a video similar to the M5 video, but now for the Type R.
Yes,
so 2 of those videos in the works, and so I just went to film Mike
and give
driving.
emotional support.
and be
Some
there.
pointers.
And be his
Yeah.
pal, which was fine. That was worth it. Watching it kind of sucks. 'Cause it's like, wow, I really want to be out there, but I couldn't have done both. I couldn't have done both.
Next time.
Yeah, next time.
But yeah, so that was the first time I've had the Type R on any kind of even autocross track,
Right, yeah.
anything. And it's kind of like when I bought the car, I was pretty excited. I was like, man, I haven't like felt this pumped up about a car in a while. Yeah. And then like, it didn't like get used to it, but like yesterday I was like, I kind of like fell in love with it again. I was like,
You're just like, oh crap, this thing.
Yeah. You're like, you kind of like unlock like a whole nother level of like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that car to me, I haven't driven it on the track. So here's some like vague, vicariously through you observations. Some car, because I was thinking this about the M5. The M5, the E39 M5 is such a good car. It is like one of the best cars at like 6/10.
Right.
Like if you're just kind of in traffic and driving semi-aggressively, it's like that is
Ideal.
Such a good car. I haven't had it on a track, but I hear they're pretty good up to like 8/10.
Right.
And after that, it's like, yeah, there's better cars.
You're going to find the limits. Yeah.
And the thing about the Type R is that car seems, from what I've heard through you and just what I know about the car, seems pretty damn good at 10/10.
Yeah.
Like you
as
can
far as I
just-
know, yeah.
You can just beat on that car.
I'm like anything but a pro driver.
But you still didn't get, how confident did you feel driving that thing?
Pretty confident. I think that was the biggest thing. Like it's fast, I guess, like relatively speaking, but it's like very forgiving and very easy to drive fast.
Yeah. There are no tendencies. That's the thing, is like lurking tendencies.
Yeah, like
at
you gotta
9 or 10.
you gotta be careful of this. Like
careful.
it might
because
happen. Yeah.
It'll, that back end or whatever.
It'll bite you.
Thing, it's just like, it's the lack of those behaviors
Yeah.
that let you just beat on that.
Essentially.
Explore yourself. That's how you
Right.
get better as a driver in some ways.
Right.
It's just like,
Yeah. Like I felt pretty comfortable just hammering it.
yeah.
So even though, like I said, I'm not an experienced. I've only gone to like a couple track days.
But it will make comfort driving a car is what will make a car really fast.
Yeah.
Really. Because
Right.
it's like, that's a big, people talk about like this race car versus this. It's like, yeah, in the hands of a professional
Right.
driver, maybe.
Right.
But
Joe
just-
Blow and
Yeah, by observing, what I observed is there is a Z28 out there, like a 2015,
Right.
which is a killer car. Those
there was
things
actually
are
a
awesome.
lot of cool cars.
There was a
like,
lot of
like
cool
pretty
cars.
almost we were talking like almost any like relevant performance car from
Yeah.
the last 5 years
Short of
was
any
represented.
exotic. There was
Right, yeah.
none of the exotic stuff, but like things you'd be interested
Yeah,
in buying.
there's like a Focus RS,
Yeah.
an Lexus LC 500,
and an ISF,
like a handful of Teslas.
yeah, there was a lot. There
Yeah.
you could see quite a few different cars.
Yeah.
There doing their thing. But Z28 is not notoriously, but it's a pretty difficult car to drive
Right.
hard because those tires are very finicky, and that car is just set up
Yeah,
pretty extreme.
sure.
And nothing against the guy, but he's driving it pretty slow.
Yeah.
No shit.
Because it's scary.
Because
yeah.
it's a scary car. And a couple times the back end came around.
Right,
It's like,
yeah.
it looked like a lot of fun. But like for most of the laps I saw him,
You're gonna be holding something back.
he wasn't even getting into it hard enough to open the exhaust
valve.
flaps.
Yeah.
You know? And so it'd like pull away and like, brrr.
Right.
And by contrast, in the Type R, it's like maybe you're a more experienced driver than him, but regardless, it's just like that's a car you can get in,
Right.
and it's not going to bite you
Yeah.
the way that something like a Z28.
Right. Yeah.
or
You,
something
you have to like
extreme.
really fuck up bad to like get in trouble and stuff
Which,
like
yeah,
that.
with that said, it's not going to totally hold your hand.
Right.
But I think you surprised some people
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
by how fast
There was a
it
guy
was.
up, a 911. We were trying to figure.
There's a guy in a 997. We're not sure if it's a turbo or not,
Yeah.
but it was at least a wide body.
And it was loud.
And it was loud. So some modifications to some degree.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
relatively capable car.
Right.
And you either like passed him or
I was just like,
Didn't let him
I was
pull
just
away,
like
yeah.
stuck on his bumper.
Yeah.
for most of the part.
And he seemed competent.
But that doesn't mean that I'm a good. I think that kind of stuff happens all the time. at
yeah,
track
yeah.
days.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
he came
yeah.
over and
Oh, yeah.
talked to me
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he was like
Because
so
obviously he was,
impressed by it.
he had probably done a track day. He seemed like
Yeah,
an
that was not his
experienced-
first. day.
Yeah.
He's like, "Is this stock?"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Yeah."
It's just like it's enough of
And
a
it's-
car to like turn
and
people's
it's less
heads.
than half the price of his point.
Yeah, and then my brother went, who has a C5 Z06, which is all stock, I think, except for
Tires.
our 888 tires, which are pretty good tires.
Yeah.
And we we would go out together and like try to because he like put the GoPro in your car and I'll drive in front of you.
Yeah.
So it's like especially like me like trying to stay with him or him trying to stay with me, and that was
a
lot of
blast to
fun.
watch. Watching the Type R trade blows with a C5 Z06. I mean, that car's probably a little bit faster.
Z06.
But from where I
Yeah.
was standing, it's like they're pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, I think like I said, you have such a bigger cushion in the Type R than that.
Yeah.
Like you can get more that an average driver can get more out of
Sure. The floor for what you're capable of
Right,
is
right.
higher.
Exactly.
But still, it's like that is about as real life as it gets.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, what are those cars like in a magazine?
Right.
And then what are they like in real life?
Yeah.
Two fairly comfortable drivers
Right.
duking it out in there. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's
That's
freaking impressive
Yeah, and it
for
was-
a Civic.
Yeah, and it was a shitload of fun.
Yeah, and
Most
plus it
definitely.
looked awesome and
Yeah.
it was fun. But it was like that thing is legitimately keeping up. No one would say like, oh, it was a joke.
Right.
The
Yeah.
vet was way faster. It was
Right.
like C5 Z06, like
Yeah.
the standard of a very fast car
Right.
20 years ago
Sure.
is like neck and neck with
Yeah,
these things.
yeah,
That was
and
pretty cool.
we were talking about because most tracks are like this where they'll have straights, and a track day, it's not really it's not a race, but there'll be like a big variety of cars, and then
yeah.
mostly everyone just punches it on the straights.
Yeah.
It's like that's like
like the one place.
It's kind of like one of the it's almost like legal roll race, like highway. Like you'll come out of the corner behind a car and like, is this car going to pull away from me, or am I going to like gain on it?
Right.
Who's going to
yeah.
pull on who on the straights
Right,
on a track?
exactly,
It's
yeah.
a very
So, like,
neat little mini
Right.
game.
So like the Z06 would like pull away from me a little bit.
Yeah.
That sounds about right because those probably ran
405 horsepower.
right. So those probably
Similar weight, probably.
Yeah, I would say, and those probably ran like what, high 12s with a good driver, maybe low 13s.
Yeah, there's like C5 Z06. There was like that one guy
Right.
who did like an 11.
Right, oh, yeah, that's
and then
right.
C6 Z06. I want to say someone did a 10.
Right. Yeah. But so much of that is based on I mean, so much of that was based on traction.
I'm just saying that is the absolute
Right.
high end
Yeah.
There, humanly
There was
possible.
always like the hero guy.
the
that,
Ranger.
I've heard some stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew the secret tricks.
Right. But it was like, so that car they wouldn't like walk away from me, but he would definitely gap me in the straights. And then there's other cars like you would just fly up on, a Miata or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was also a Focus RS, which I assume was probably stock.
Sure.
That
It looked
you saw like
enough.
that car, like it's almost like it almost like verifies what you read. Like I was like creeping up on him a little bit, but so it's like
right.
that sort of rings true to what
Yeah.
they said, trap speed was.
That motor is everything about the Type R is just high value.
Yeah, it's
Everything
like,
about it's like, wow, that motor for 35 grand. Wow, that handlebar
Yeah.
for 35
The
grand.
seats,
So it's like,
yeah.
everything about it. It's not wow for any price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like, gosh, for that money. It
Yeah.
just everything about it. They just hit it out.
yeah, and I guess the one thing I was worried, and supposedly the cars have overheating issues, which they do, but I think that's
hot weather.
right.
Yeah.
I think it has to be a very specific set of circumstances to get there.
Yeah.
You have to, first of all, you have to be essentially driving at 10 tenths.
Yeah, you have to be
Yeah.
experienced enough to drive it at its limit.
right.
in hot weather.
at least relatively warm weather. Because even in all the driving, the temperature gauge never went above half.
No, I
And
didn't expect
I mean,
it
that was a cold day. I mean, I mean, it was a cold for California day, so it was
right.
like 55 degrees.
No, I don't
maybe.
think those cars have overheating problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you can get one to do it
if you flog
in
it hard.
extreme conditions. It's
Yeah.
like fine, fair enough.
Right.
But it's like after a few laps or whatever.
Yeah. And
Without
the other thing
the
is, I mean, I say I've only gone to a few track days, but it's like you never get more than 2 laps, 10, even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a traffic or
something,
something. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But yeah. And before I drove that, I thought like, yeah, if you go to the track, you probably want a dual clutch or even like a good automatic, just because you don't have to think about the shifting.
Right.
like with the rev matching and like it's like it's a video game.
Yeah.
So like there you are like banging gears.
Yeah,
and, like,
you don't have to think about
like
during the clutch.
right, exactly. Like you can, it makes you look like you're doing
Heel
something
toeing,
cool.
yeah.
You're like shifting mid corner.
Right. And it's like it's not any really harder than driving an automatic.
Yeah, I was curious. Do you wish? And I guess you just answered it. Do you wish that car had a dual clutch?
No, I don't
Would
think
that have changed the experience at all?
I think no. I think in that car it's like perfect because the shifter is awesome.
Fine as is.
Yeah, like it's precise and it's easy to use.
Yeah.
And you still have that connection that
Yeah.
everyone jerks off about.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's funny that once you have a good rev matching system and a nice shifter and whatever, it's like, oh, this is all the benefits of manual without really any of the drawbacks. It's like you still get to touch the lever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like good enough.
And it's still like to a layman, it still looks like you're like,
Yeah, really change those
are.
gears.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like there's a lot of knowledge that goes into being smooth.
I'm looking forward to seeing the videos from that because that was a shitload of fun.
Yeah, I shot some sweet footage of you, and the GoPro stuff should be good. I brought a pretty intimidating camera setup to the track.
You were turning some heads in a different way.
Yeah, the track staff came and stopped me going into it because they wanted to be very clear that I wasn't taking photos and selling them.
Right.
Because they have people there.
Yeah, undercutting
or whatever.
the-
And so
the
this guy
official
had this like
photographer.
10-minute conversation with me about like why I was there. I was like, no, I'm just photographing my friend.
Just
and then
how it
when I
is.
was there, a couple people were like, oh, you taking pictures?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not.
Right.
They told me not to.
Right.
It was actually nice having that excuse. I was told not to.
Right.
So it's nice. It's like, I don't want to film your Cayman. You know? Like, whatever. So yeah, that was pretty fun. Good event overall.
Yeah, it was good.
Heck of fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
February.
Yeah, that's the next
really
one.
well.
I'll finally
coming
get
Yeah,
get the Super
supposedly
Truck.
John is going.
Yes.
Yeah, I might go in a car. See, whatever. There was a one thing worth mentioning. There was a sweet full size.
Well, that was it's because it wasn't like a full like an official track day.
Sure.
It was essentially like a not a school, but like
Driving clinic.
more of an entry level. But
Yeah.
there were some fairly advanced people, and then some people that like had obviously never been.
Never been on track. No.
And the cars kind of represented that.
Yeah.
That spectrum.
There was a time we were like hanging out on the grid. Everybody's like kind of waiting on deck.
Right.
We're like, this kind of just looks like traffic.
Right.
Like cross section of cars.
Right.
And there was like an old Jetta.
Yeah, there's like an 01 Mark IV TDI Jetta.
Just like purple.
Stock. Like not even
you know,
not
just
like,
kinda
not
the-
track prepped at all.
The one that you'd imagine.
There was a guy in a whatever P71 Crown Vic ex cop
yeah.
car.
That's right.
Like also all stock with whatever like
they're just kind of
Pep Boys all seasons
Yeah.
tires.
Wow.
And the best
probably the best.
drum roll. Probably the most unusual car I've ever seen on a racetrack.
/ sweetest.
Slash coolest and most awesome.
It's like a 2010.
2010-ish Chevy Silverado
4x4
pickup truck. Yeah. 4x4 short bed
White with a camper.
with a
shell.
with a camper shell.
Yeah, here's a photo of it.
Yeah, from
Use the watermark.
yeah, the watermark is from the official.
We're not paying for
So yeah, go check them out.
Yeah,
if you
that was
actually-
pretty sweet though. He was getting after it too, not
yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
but, like,
yeah, I think it seemed like he was getting after it about as hard as he could.
As you can, yeah.
in
not as hard
that
as you would reasonably
Yeah.
do it in a bones Chevy truck.
4x4 with whatever
Yeah.
270 or what 265, 65.
What it made me
16s or
realize,
whatever.
I don't think this is what he was doing, but it's kind of a good idea if you get any new car,
Go find the
anyone,
limits. Yeah.
to go do a track day like that, some real low level track day.
Right.
And just figure out like, what does this vehicle feel like
At the extremes.
at the extreme, so that, I mean, just from a knowledge
Right.
standpoint, you should know when your vehicle's about to roll or not, or
Mm-hmm.
what can it put up with.
yeah.
And I told myself that's what he was doing.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Because I was like, I got a truck and I just want to know because I'm going to be driving around national forests and windy road or something. It's like,
Yeah.
I was like, man, maybe I should take the Forerunner. Forerunner out there.
Yeah, that guy left early and we were joking that you should just hop in there and
take his- no one
take
would
his
notice.
spot.
Yeah.
Someone talked to me about the Forerunner. When I was
Oh,
there.
damn.
Yeah. He's like, I have the same one, same colors. I love it. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
Still got a little.
You and 10 million other people.
Yeah.
probably.
One of the instructors. He's like, I love this thing.
And there was also the beat up M5.
Oh yeah, there was a
You.
super janky E39 M5.
I think it was one of the instructors.
Early build,
cars.
just beat up.
Yeah.
All
well, I mean, not like thrash, but like
thrash,
but not like not
outside.
Right. Yeah. Not a
faded, chipped clear coat. All the rubber around the windshield is cracked.
Yeah. The seats were pretty worn
out. On track.
Passing
people.
Yeah.
Not flogging it.
Right. But
it's still holding its own.
Enjoying it. Yeah.
Made me feel pretty good.
Yeah. That was cool.
Yeah. That was fun. Okay. Main podcast topic. Recently, GM has announced some stuff.
Yeah.
Closing some plants.
Some restructuring.
Yeah.
Laying off some people. Which I just looked it up. They have 120,000 U.S. employees and 180,000 or something worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think 60,000 are salaried.
That's total employees of it, like, or only like factory workers.
Salaried employees, which are typically not factory workers, is about 50 to 60,000.
Okay.
And so they are laying off like 12 to 14,000 people or something. But just to give you some, because they'll say that like 10,000 employees and people go nuts. It's like, well, you have to understand how many.
Right.
Yeah. The first question you should ask
what
percentage?
Exactly.
Is that? Yeah. So it sounds like it's a roughly 10% of their U.S. labor force. Just some context.
Sure.
So anyways, they are doing some restructuring, closing some plants.
Yes.
Which they say are engines and models that they're no longer going to make.
Right.
Like the Cruise.
The Chevy, the Cruise, the Impala. There's a couple Cadillacs. Essentially all cars, not
cars,
SUVs.
Sedanish cars.
Right. And probably the biggest is the Volt.
So there's
Volt with a V, the hybrid. Yeah. Not to be confused.
Right. And then they also said they are releasing 20 new electric cars, 20 models in the next some relevant time period. I don't totally remember.
That just seems nuts. Like that's a lot of a range of electric cars.
You know, it is. It is. And a couple different manufacturers have done this.
VW is
I think
Volkswagen is.
That is not
Audi or whatever.
When they say they are doing that, if they don't mean it lightly, I don't think. It means like they have started.
Right.
They've started developing. There are 20 different teams at least who are now starting. So I was like, that's a heavy investment. And it's not like they also said hydrogen vehicles. Right. It's like they're going electric.
It's just crazy because on a podcast a couple weeks ago, you were talking about how, electric cars drive so similar. Even a Tesla to Garrett's e-Golf drives similar. I mean, they're very different in other ways.
Yeah, but power delivery.
Right. And so like to have one manufacturer make 20 different versions.
Yeah. Well, it's probably going to be a shared platform. It's probably going to be a single drivetrain-ish.
And there could be some like very small differences between some of those 20 different.
Like unless they're counting like trim levels too.
Yeah, because I mean they don't even have 20 cars right now.
I know. That's why I like 20.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I guess if you factor in Cadillac, Buick.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, maybe
whatever.
you could just kind of sprinkle.
Yeah,
everyone gets two.
If it's spread across,
an SUV,
4
truck,
brands.
I hope a truck's in there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But we got to talking about, and the central question of this podcast can be summarized by,
like, why did these cars fail?
I was going to say, does GM suck?
Oh well, that's yeah. Oh yeah.
Down to the point.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Does GM suck? And I'm just gonna say yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a blunt.
I'm going to second that one. Yes.
I'm just going to take a blunt. Not that I don't like any of it. I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to pretend to back that position. Pretty hard.
I wouldn't say that they suck. Not on the level of like Nissan.
Right.
That's like a whole nother level of suck, at least in recent history.
I agree.
But I think GM has routinely had a problem where they've repeated the same bad choices over and over.
What do you think is a bad choice?
I think a lot of it is packaging.
Oh,
I think that's a big reason why the Volt, I guess, wasn't profitable.
And when you say packaging, what are some symptoms of bad packaging?
A car that like feels smaller than it should be.
Than it looks on the outside.
Like they'll build a car that's the same size as whatever, but it'll feel like a class smaller inside.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I don't think all of them are like that, but like we talked about that before about the Bolt with a B.
Yeah.
How it's an impressive piece that like manages to be cheaper,
right?
Like feel cheaper than it is.
Yeah. Right.
And the Volt with a V was kind of the same way. Like that's I mean, essentially that was a car in a class of its own.
Yeah.
A plug-in hybrid that you could, whatever, go almost 50 miles on battery only, and no one wanted it. Like, that's a car that technically should be able to fit a bunch of people's lives.
Yeah.
And you can drive it 80% of the time and not use gas, but at all the other times it can be a normal car.
Yeah.
And no one wanted it. I mean, because it looks like a piece. I mean, like, it's whatever, 37 grand, but it looks like a cruise.
Yeah.
And it feels like you step inside it and like, this feels like a cheap car.
GMs just have always felt cheap to me. Like, my parents have owned Suburbans and trucks and stuff, my entire life. And they just always, like, even though a Suburban is like, what, 40 to 50 grand. Like,
I don't know.
You get into it and it just,
more.
like, it just feels cheap. Like, the dash is all plastics and the stereo just always looks outdated. Like,
I think the new stuff is nice, but like, the 90s to like early 2000s, they were pretty poor.
But whereas, like, Fiat, Chrysler, like, even like your Fiat you had, or even like the 500X or whatever they call it now, like, you get into it and it feels more expensive. Like, it has heated seats, a heated steering wheel. It has like all these little tiny touches, which, granted, they're just pulling parts from different cars. But
well, they definitely have more of a flair to them, I guess.
Right.
More personality.
I'm not sure what it is. I don't know how to put my finger on it.
Their trucks and SUVs are very successful. Those are all good and they're profitable.
Yeah.
Well, they're good at doing what a truck does. Yeah.
Well, that's what you want to try.
Right. That's what I mean.
Right.
But
They have, I guess, Chevy and maybe Ford. I don't know the full history of their trucks, but they have essentially invented and maintained and remained dominant in a category of just sort of.
Well, Ford has always outdone Chevy. Like,
Well, either way, I see them as kind of equals.
Right, yeah. So
it's like they both make a good truck.
I do, but
they both make a
for
full
some
truck.
reason, Fords always sell way more than Chevys.
I don't know if they sell way more.
I wouldn't. In this case, I wouldn't look at sales numbers.
Yeah.
Just personally, and I think a lot of people would agree that like they're both good.
Right.
They both are dominant in trucks. You wouldn't say Ford makes it
Superior.
They're not in a different class, even though
Right.
maybe Ford sells way more or whatever.
Right.
But it's just like they both make a solid truck, and no one really makes even the like Tundra or whatever. It's just like they're not quite there.
Yeah.
They don't really.
They don't have. Well, a Tundra comes with one motor, and it's
That
like.
too, but just I don't know. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just image.
Well, nobody buys a Tundra to tow a load of pipe or something. You know, like
they do. You see them as work trucks. They do. They do
no, but
good jobs.
not like towing. Like they don't make a diesel with like 900 foot pipe.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
they're
yeah,
like
yeah.
semi-commercial
I see what you
grade.
mean. Yeah.
But
Not
that just
level.
opens up that kind of.
Well, now you're talking like F-350.
Right. Yeah,
that
but I
kind
mean,
of thing.
Toyota's never even like tapped into that.
Yeah, they don't
market.
go that high end.
Right.
But I mean, even, I don't know. Even at the low end, it's just like their trucks are an example. I guess my point is their trucks are an example of a product that they are pretty dominant in, and for a good reason. It's just like no one really touches them in that. This is not a very descriptive term, but like macho way. Like if you want, and it's not just image. It's just like they are pretty rugged, but it's like no one gets a Tacoma.
No.
Yeah.
Instead of an F-150,
Right.
You know, it's like you buy a Tacoma because you recognize that Toyota makes a reliable product. You know, it's
Right.
like there's different reasons.
And
to do that.
they also have 50, 60 years of brand of essentially being that.
Yeah, but I don't know that they've ever really. It's not like they've been that for a long time, but like they're resting on their laurels.
No,
It's
no,
like
but I mean,
still
right, but
they have a history
yeah,
of it,
right.
and they're good there.
Yeah.
but I don't know that they have a single car product that is the same way, where it's just like
Corvette,
they make this
probably.
thing. Oh yeah, I guess the Vet.
Yeah.
That's
But
pretty good.
And I guess the Camaro to an extent, but those are never going to like move the needle on a company. Those are like, in GM's case, those are all specialty.
Camaro, I don't know. They sell a shit ton of those. That's
Well,
certainly a successful model.
But I mean, relatively speaking, it's not a Camry.
It's a piece of the pie chart.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't surprise me that they are, first of all, they're restructuring. They're not going out of business.
Right.
And people get all bent out of shape. Like, no, don't pull out of Ohio. It's like, what? Are you going to stand in the way of them making their business more successful?
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
What about all those jobs?
Yeah, sorry, they're restructuring, but like, let them.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to be competitive and you're trying to.
But I fix typewriters.
Yeah, it's like, for that argument's real dumb. You know, if they want to restructure to be more efficient, let them, because they have the baggage of 100 years of manufacturing, and today's needs are not necessarily what they were. So, like, that point aside, I don't see them, and I never have seen them as a dominant manufacturer of any kind of like superior car.
Well, at least in our lifetime. I mean, obviously there were back in the 50s and crap like that, but you know,
I guess
the entire
that's true.
time we've been alive and into cars,
There wasn't really any competition. That's a
Right.
good point. They were dominant in the first half of the century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were then, I assume.
Well, at least they're right up there among the.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
best.
back in the day, like
Yeah.
a Cadillac was like the car to have, like
Yeah,
if
that's
you were
true.
the luxury model.
Right.
Yeah.
But they just don't make anything now where it's like, you know, it's like you're making a small car. The car to compete with is Accord, Camry,
Yeah, Civic. Yeah.
Corolla.
Right.
That class. And it's really those. I mean, maybe some Subaru stuff is starting to kind of take off. But it's like, if you're just going to try to make some mediocre Me Too thing, then like, this is what happens.
Yeah.
They're still selling them, but not enough to remain competitive. It's like, no shit.
Well, Ford. I guess Ford is the same way with the whatever Focus.
And same with
Fusion.
Ford. I mean, the thing is like they could have. They made the new Focus, and it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
And then they just stopped.
Well, critically at least.
I think it was a big.
I mean, it sold better at the beginning.
You're not going to outsell a Civic on go one, but you're going to turn heads, and they did, and then they stopped. They let it stagnate, and then they stopped. And so it's like the reason this came up is that we saw some people saying like it wouldn't even matter if they made better cars.
Yeah.
Like they have a reputation. GM has a reputation of
Which I kind of agreed with.
mediocrity, and like that is haunting them.
Yeah.
And you agreed with, and I was saying, no, if they had made a superior product, they'd be in better shape. They don't make anything noteworthy, really.
Right.
Except for like the Bolt. The Bolt is a perfect example.
Yeah.
They make cars, and even the Volt, where it's like marketing came up with a list of specs.
Yeah.
And they made it. They succeeded in what they set out to do.
Right.
But it wasn't that special.
The thing is, like, it was special. Like, it was a car that essentially no one else built, and it's still no one wanted it because
it's special on paper.
Because it was like, first of all, like, it's about as uncool as a car. Like,
sure,
want to come check out my little Chevy?
That's part of it.
It's like, and I think that was always going to do like,
it could have.
It was never going to have the.
But like, why wasn't it being cool part of the recipe?
I don't know.
That's not an accident. It's not like the Model 3 like magically is cool and the Bolt wasn't. It's not like the public decides. It's like they set out to make that thing in their engineering minds
in their shape,
sexy and cool, and it's like they wouldn't let it leave mediocre.
Maybe they were just bad at that part of it.
Or it wasn't a requirement.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is it wasn't a requirement. And I think they misunderstood how important that was. I mean, all their cars, none of their products are sexy.
Yeah.
None of their products are cool. You can't buy a single GM product.
But they've won a lot of JD Power.
yeah, exactly. It's like, that's the old way of doing shit. And like, sorry if it doesn't work anymore. And honestly, this is pretty pessimistic. Now I'm going hard into the they suck direction. But they went bankrupt, essentially. They were bailed out, but they went bankrupt for a reason. And I truly believe they're headed for that direction again. And that is that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's messed up on their part to be complacent.
Yeah.
It's on management. It's not on the people. If you work for GM, I'm sure you're fine, because the way big companies tend to work is the people doing the work know the right thing to do. I guarantee you everyone on the Bolt team was like, this thing's kind of lame, you know? It's like they're working on it every day. I mean, we had that whole discussion about why make a bad car. It's like, the people working on it aren't like, I don't know. It's like they're working on it. They know if they'd buy it or not. You know, it's like I'm sure they're proud of it, but it's mismanagement. It's the narrow band of managers making decisions and signing off on things and whatever that are driving that company probably into the ground again.
Or at least they'll like, well, I can't see their trucks ever going away.
Right.
So if
it has to be enough to float the whole company. I mean, that's the
or they downsize to just trucks.
Well, Dodge or FCA that's essentially what they did. They said we're going to stop making any of our vehicles that don't compete and just focus on the stuff that does. And it seems to have been working out pretty well for them.
Well, they also just make, I don't know, they just make a better product.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it's mostly image. Like I think like GM executives they've probably been there for like 30 something years. So like what they know, like what they have done every day for 30 years is just not popular anymore.
That could be.
Whereas,
and
they're the ones signing off on designs or whatever. Like, you know, some new designer might bring something that actually does look cool, but it doesn't make it up the chain far enough to get into production.
Yeah, I don't think, and now we're getting into like speculation, guessing about like corporate structure and whatever. I don't know. It's easy to say like those executives. I don't know that it's the executives. That's kind of my point is it is just the culture of management down the chain where it's like, yeah, you've got like C-suite staff who might be whatever mediocre, but it's the like all the way down the chain, head of design, head of body stamping.
That's what I mean.
If you don't have excellence running through the company at every level, this is what you get. You get a product that's fine, but it's not gonna dominate.
Well, the other thing we were talking about is Toyota and Honda really sucked for. I mean, wouldn't say they sucked, but they were definitely not good.
Yeah, they got complacent for a while.
And
I would say,
but I think
early 2000s. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, essentially like
05,
like 2001 to 2015 or something.
12, 13, yeah.
But it's like their products were pretty mediocre. There's no like exceptional Honda made in the late 2000s or whatever.
Well, I think a lot of that is they were really starting to pick up steam in America, and they started catering a little too hard.
Right,
and they started becoming an American company,
right? Because instead
of remaining Japanese.
Exactly, just like how GM was in the 80s or 70s, they coasted on. People will buy our cars even if they suck.
I don't know that they coasted. I think they were genuinely trying to make a car. They're genuinely trying to make products that Americans would like.
That they thought.
Yeah, they were. It was growing pains. It wasn't complacency. It looked that way to us because they weren't making
competitive.
It's like 90s Japanese stuff feels very Japanese when you say, and like mid 2000s stuff feels like someone trying to be American, or it's like, is this what Americans want? I mean,
well, it's just like they stopped pushing it because they didn't really need to.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not sure.
Let's say
I think they were just failing.
We were just cutting corners, like financially. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the 2012 Civic, which is kind of a funny car because it was like panned when it came out for being cheap and harsh and not really up to the standard of what people thought a Civic could be. And like if you look at the sales numbers like that. Like the buyer didn't care. The Civic buyer.
Well, they didn't know. The general public doesn't respond that quickly to fluctuations in your in your reputation.
Right.
If you have a reputation and you have earned it from decades of a certain thing,
exactly.
You have a blip.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like anyone who goes to work. It's like. Think about the people you work with and think about the ones that should be fired.
Yeah.
If they have a killer day where that's not going to change your reputation.
That's true.
It's like they're done.
Right.
But if they have multiple years of crushing it, then it turns into Steve used to suck at work and honestly, he's pretty good. Yeah. It's like you can fix it, but you have to stand out. You better go hard in the other direction. And I think that's what GM has not. They got way better after the bailout. They restructured. I'm sure they needed a plan to do that. That was part of it. But now I look at them and it's like, whatever. Same with Ford. I mean, Ford didn't have to, they weren't bailed out in the same way, but there was a time there where it was like, damn, American cars, cool, welcome back or whatever, like 2012 or 2011. It's like, okay, things are turning around. And now it's like, eh.
Yeah.
Like they're at the point where they should be releasing all new models and I guess what this is a crossroads because they're shrinking way down.
Yeah.
They're clearly starting big initiatives to restructure due to a lot of things.
Electric cars and not people not buying normal cars.
Yeah, shifts in buyer taste.
Yeah.
And honestly, very vicious competition because the Japanese are making exceptional cars. Now I would say Korean cars are on the level of American sedans at least.
I think the Koreans have kind of taken the price point based shopping.
Korean / Nissan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
Korean brands like Nissan.
Like, would you rather have a is it the Sonata? Like whatever competes with the Cruise.
Oh, the Elantra.
Come
on, you should know that.
Yeah, sorry. But
maybe a Kia Forte.
I'd rather have either.
Then
a Cruise or a Elantra or whatever. Because it's just like, they're probably both fine. I wouldn't want either, but I'd take either almost. Right. But it's like you could have a Civic.
Yeah.
Without even questioning what trim or model or whatever, you take the Civic 100%. Because they're making a killer car right now. The Corolla's boring, but it always has been. But at least it's bulletproof.
Right.
You can't kill them.
The new Camry looks awesome. I don't know if you've seen those, but
yeah, they look cool. Same with the Accord.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, Toyota and Honda, they're just starting to come out with cars that look interesting. Whereas GM always just did like the basic car shape.
They could fix it though. I mean, it's like I believe they could. But they're not. And that's fine. This is just what you get. It's like you can't be mad at people. Like, you go through how many cars?
A lot.
Have you ever bought an American car new?
A Challenger.
For 2 months.
Well, okay, sorry. Have you ever bought a GM product?
Not new. Wait, have I?
I can't even remember.
No, but my family has had
Pontiacs.
Great experience with GM stuff. I mean, I think GM is, they've never made an unreliable car.
They just,
I mean, at least not.
They don't make a bad product, but I would describe them the same way I would describe Hyundai and Kia.
Right.
They don't make a bad product. They're just cars for people who don't know anything about cars, or love GM. If you've already made up your mind that you love GM and your family loves GM, then you're going to buy them and whatever, and have good experiences.
Right.
It's not to say they're a bad company. They just aren't the best.
Yeah.
And if you're not the best, this is what happens. You have to restructure and you have to, I mean, any company does, but I don't know. I think they could make a much better product and they would have much better perception if they did. And I wish they would, but they're clearly not. And I suspect I am cautiously optimistic, but I don't know that I have a reason to be, because I don't think whatever the 20 electric cars they come out with, they're just going to be the same.
Yeah,
they're going to be fine.
That seems bold.
They're going to be fine.
We'll see. I mean, this is the way to do it, is just to scrap everything and start from scratch rather than, keep going with their mediocre cars and then slowly transition to 20 electric cars. Like it's better to just wipe the slate clean, get the public's, image of starting over.
Yeah. So we'll see. My answer is they suck. I am just like so ruthlessly, and maybe this is me being naive, and this isn't the way things work, but it's like, either make a killer product or like get the fuck out of here. Like either give it your all or go out of business, like go away. Either try really hard or go away. And I guess what pisses me off is like, you're wasting people's lives. You're wasting 124,000 American workers' lives by passing off these
mediocre,
decent cars. Yeah, it's like, that's people's careers. And they could be making whatever, and you're making these whatever thing. You're making these like complacent, mediocre things. That's my opinion. So that's why that stuff pisses me off. It's like, would you fucking make something we can be proud of as Americans? This huge American company that we bailed out. Like, would you make shit that the rest of the world like admired? They could. They could. It's not like it's whatever. That's why I love Tesla, because like, you can think what you want about Elon Musk or whatever, but it's like they're making products that people are like shitting themselves over, and like there's no compromises other than they're not making them very well right now. There's stories of whatever, but it's like growing pains. They have got a product that is incredible. And every time someone drives, the Model 3 is so funny because it's like every time someone drives it, they love it. And every time someone buys it, they tell 8 other people to buy one. Like it's that good. It's that good. So that's my answer. It's a little harsh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't really compare them because one of them essentially sprung up.
They're brand
to
new.
make a very specific to make cars
no baggage.
It's
just an example
very
of
specific.
It's like that company is don't get me wrong, probably ruthless to work for. But it's like, they lose people all the time. Yeah. But 2, they fire people all the time. Yeah. It's like, if you can't do this, get the
it's like the Trump administration of car companies.
Go work somewhere else. So I like that about them because it's just like, that's how a top company is. It's like, you better be the best. Make the best shit here.
Their next goal is to make it affordable, or so the average American salary can afford it, because right now they have they're a high price point, and they have, but like you said, they have no compromises, so they have to be at that price point right now.
I think that they will get more efficient and they'll make a cheaper car. But the thing I like is you are selling a product that someone will own for years, 5 years, let's say minimum on average. Why not make something that they are just in love with? Yeah. Like, you are just creating such happiness in the world by making a product that they're stoked to own and they're spending their hard-earned money on. And you want to, every time they get in it, they love the thing. I mean, it's like the Type R. If every car could be as fun to own as a Type R, it's just like, God, I love this thing. Yeah. Like, why have something in your life?
Well, I mean, the vast, probably like 95% of anyone who buys a car is just buying a car based on a price point. Yeah. I think
they can still enjoy it. They can still love the thing.
But I don't think most of them don't care. No one enjoys their Corolla that they buy.
Yeah, because Corolla's boring.
But it's still a successful product.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, vague opinion. Sorry about that.
I guess my opinion on GM is they've always had, it's like they're like the kid that has potential but never knows how to apply themselves.
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah. It's like, Jimmy, you could do so much if you just try.
I mean, from an enthusiast, like I say, the enthusiast standpoint is the Camaro, which we've talked about a lot, which is essentially like a groundbreaking, phenomenal performance car that is heavily compromised by bad styling choices that essentially makes the car almost a deal breaker for a lot of people that would even buy a car.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think in general, their enthusiast cars are good. Yeah. And I would guess that's because the team is passionate. Right. And the management chain is probably also passionate. Right. It's not like, at some level, like the head of Camaro is like, he knows nothing about cars. Right. Like, no, he's probably super proud to have that position. Yeah. Super into that car, takes it very seriously, knows that the reputation of that rides on his shoulders, whatever. It's like, that needs to happen more. Yeah. It's like
across all.
Yeah. I don't know who the head of design for the Cruise is, but either he's not passionate or he's so shackled.
James Cruise himself.
It's like he's so shackled by the structure of the company that he can't make a better product. It's like, fix something. You're going to lay people off, do it, but reorganize in a way where you emerge stronger as a result of it. Those are my thoughts on GM. You heard it here.
Feel free to tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Yeah. Just a quick note before we end. Carl Bernstein, one of our viewers / listeners, if you listen to
local
this podcast, you're missing out. He often will write long kind of comments, and he will research things that we have that we're not sure.
Yeah.
A little.
He's probably going to school you on GM, bro.
I'm just going to use your mind, Carl, for a second, just to answer a non-car related question. Who the fuck eats at Long John Silver's? Carl.
We were wondering about that.
Are they big on the East Coast?
They got to be big somewhere.
Were they ever big?
The deal. Yeah. Were they big?
if you or anyone you know has ever regularly eaten at Long John Silver's, chime in.
How the fuck is Long John Silver's
LJS?
In business?
LJS, as we call it, as the young people like to call it.
Okay, so anyways. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to that vague rant. Curious to hear what you guys think about this topic. And see you next week.
Yeah.
We'll be back, right? Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thanks for being here.
See ya.
Peace.